A number of extreme weather warnings have been issued for parts of the country. No floods this time, but heat waves and potential fire risks. Let's get a breakdown from SA Weather Service forecaster Lehlohonolo Thobela. Mr. Thobela, thank you so much for joining us. I wonder if we can start with the fire warnings that are in place. Obviously, those are of great concern, particularly if we consider that in Richards Bay, there's still that wood chip fire that's burning. They're really worried about the wind direction, etc., etc. So talk us through where those warnings are, if you would.
Good evening and thanks for having me. Yes, I think with the El Nino happening, we have drier conditions, and with drier conditions, we have windy conditions. When we have windy conditions, it's easy to start a fire. And with berg winds, especially around areas with having mountainous areas, when you have those winds which then are blowing quicker, then they tend to spread the fires over areas like that. That's why we have an advisory for that. But then the heat is not helping, because with the heat and the stronger winds pushing in, which would mean then the fire then becomes a danger to life, like how we've seen in the past years in Knysna in some areas.
Yeah, absolutely. So is there a fire danger warning in the Richards Bay area specifically?
It's mainly around the Northwest province as well as some areas over the central parts. Not much of the KZN as a whole, but yes, we have much more of the warnings spreading over the central parts of the country, which would cover some areas of the Free State. Areas north of KwaZulu-Natal, that's when we also still experience that. But so being taking into considerations that Richards Bay is also in the north, it wouldn't then stop the fires from spreading from the northern parts of Richards Bay towards Richards Bay.
Yeah, so actually that is a real concern, the weather in that area and those other areas you mentioned. I would imagine fire warnings often go hand in hand with heat waves. You've also issued warnings of heat waves in some areas. I was looking at the weather forecast for tomorrow. I mean, Ermelo, I think, is going up to 36 degrees. So which areas are under a heat wave warning?
So mainly it's Gauteng as a whole. It started as the southern parts for today, but it's mainly Gauteng as a whole. The eastern part of the Free State province, which would cover areas like Welkom, spreading over to Kroonstad in the eastern parts. Not forgetting then the northwest province, where in the eastern parts where we think of, we have Mahikeng there, we have areas in the western like Kroonstad, that's where we have Parys, Sasolburg. If we talk about northwest, then that's when in Rustenburg and Mahikeng. Free State is mainly Welkom, Kroonstad, Parys, and most areas over the eastern parts of the Free State province. However, Gauteng, it will be Gauteng as a whole, which should include Johannesburg, Vereeniging, Pretoria, and most parts of the East Rand. So it is then expected to have these hot and warm conditions for the next coming 3 days, which would start from today, which is what, if you're in Gauteng, you'd then appreciate the heat that we've been through. I mean, maximums of about 33 degrees and above, and spreading over to the week, then we're looking at warm and hotter, very hot conditions in the northern areas of Gauteng, which then is expected to spread for the next coming 3 days. For now, it's expected to last up until the 6th of October, which will be Friday, but it might also then go on depending on how the surface high pressure system dominates.
Right. How do you define a heat wave?
So a heat wave is defined by when temperatures get to be more than 5 degrees Celsius than the average temperature, or rather the maximum temperature of the warmest month. So take, for instance, if Gauteng, we have Johannesburg, which usually has an average temperature of about 29 degrees Celsius. Then if you expect, or models suggest that we're going to have temperatures which are greater than 29 degrees Celsius in the next consecutive 3 days, which would then be 29 plus 5. And if we have those temperatures expected for the next coming 3 days, then that is then defined as a heat wave.
Does that mean that summer is here with a bang, or are we still actually officially in spring?
I like what you're saying there, but I mean, with El Nino, you know, to experience less of rainfall and more of above normal temperatures, which is what we're experiencing right now. Spring has started, but it's going further to summer, and it is getting stronger and stronger. But then you need to not neglect that El Nino does also result in some extreme weather conditions, which then would see much more of some thunderstorms, which has impacts. However, for now, I think the main impact is the heat waves, and that's the heat, and it feels rather better to be on TV and speak about heat than the rainfall that we always have meetings about.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it, what the Western Cape has been through has been astonishing. I mean, really destructive, and it's just a reminder
Yeah.
of how we're at the mercy of weather. But of course, here up country, we're desperate for some more rain. I think we had a thunderstorm was about this time last week, and we were so grateful, but we haven't actually seen anything since then. When are we going to start seeing our consistent summer rains coming in?
For the remainder of spring, we are yet to see much more of the showers and rain because with the seasonal forecast that has been updated, it suggests that below normal rainfall is expected between November, December, and January. But for now, we yet to still expect much more of the showers and thunder showers happening there and there for as long as we're still in spring. But as soon as we start from November, December, January, which would be a peak of the summer, that's when we'll be experiencing less of the rainfall. So we're expecting below normal rainfall, especially for the central and the eastern parts of the country, which would then include Free State, Gauteng, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, as well as KwaZulu-Natal.
So basically, we're going to have higher temperatures and less rainfall this summer up country, and it's largely because of El Nino.
Definitely, that's where it is.
All right, thank you so much for that update. At least we know what we're in for. Much appreciated. SA Weather Service forecaster Lehlohonolo Thobela just telling us like it is.